What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Full Court Talk podcast, episode 82. So we're getting up there. We're getting close to 100. Let's go.
Yep.
How you
Regular
doing,
season.
CJ? Yeah, regular season number.
Now I'm doing good, bro. Preparing one day before Thanksgiving. Got a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
But we got a lot to get to. Uh,
Mm,
we're gonna talk about James Wiseman because he not looking good for the young man right now. We'll talk about that. And then we're gonna talk about which team has the best young core. And then we'll round it out with CJ and I kind of ranting about our own teams, I'm guessing, because his biggest disappointments so far this season, and Lakers have not been good. Warriors have been okay. So we'll talk about that later. Uh, I'm interested to know from an outside perspective, what do you think of James Wiseman?
I mean, to be honest, bro, I think he's still a good player. I I don't know quite what's going on regarding his status because as far as we've seen, he's healthy. So I don't know why he's been assigned to, the G League. Maybe there's something that we don't know, or I don't really keep up with the Warriors, but yeah, it was just confusing to see him getting assigned and not getting any run, especially since like there's kind of a hole in the middle for you guys. I know Kevon Looney's there and he's been solid, for as long as you guys have had him, but um, I still think James Wiseman is a solid player, but like I said to you the other day, my dad and I were talking about um, James Wiseman because my dad's a Warriors fan. I he said that he's not as good of a passer as Bogut and past big men that you guys have had, and I quite agree. But at the same time, he's also still young,
Yeah,
and this is coming from a guy who barely got any run in college. His rookie quote unquote season was cut short, so he's still getting used to everything, in my opinion. And I mean it when I say this. I don't think the Warriors should give up on him just yet. I think he can still run the floor, and it's just the way that the Warriors run an offense. Obviously, he doesn't match, but if he can do the things that Bogut does, but be more of an offensive threat, then I think he would fit seamlessly well. But yeah, he still has a lot of time, and I understand why the panic is starting to arise, but I don't see why you guys should get rid of him unless it would benefit you guys, which obviously that's the whole point of a trade. But yeah, I just don't think you guys should give up on him yet.
yeah. So let me tell you some numbers. So he's a minus 73 in 11 games, averaging 13 minutes a game, which is pretty impressive if you think about it. He's letting a lot of points. I think for me the concern is that he's scoring 7 points a game, which is pretty good in those 13 minutes. Grabbing 4 boards, pretty good. Blocking just zero point 0.4 shots is not good. Defensively, I think there's a real concern just because in his rookie season he was fouling a ton because he was going after a ton of blocks, and I think he was kind of relying too much on swatting the shot instead of just putting his hands up. Now he's putting his hands up and not even contesting the shot because he's so scared of getting fouls. So he needs to find some kind of like medium to where he can block shots, but also like just basically work on his timing, I guess. In the G League, since being sent down in 3 games, he's a minus 22. In his second game, he was the only person to be uh, in the negatives. So it's a little interesting to look at that. And I know plus and minus isn't the biggest tell all about a player's individual like statistic part of his game, but it's interesting to see because James Wiseman hasn't been great in the G League or the NBA. When on the floor, I think he does look lost at times offensively. I think he thinks it's like the 80s. He'll screen Steph and instantly go into like a post. And it's not the 80s. You can't be doing that anymore. You got to really focus on your dive cuts, lob threat, or just get the offensive board. I mean, at the end of the day, you start posting up and you clog the lane. Steph can't get to the lane, or whoever the ball handler is, Jordan Poole. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I think when James Wiseman and Jordan Poole share the floor, it's pretty bad because I think more the focus for them is to get James Wiseman to be comfortable and less so of Jordan Poole. So it's interesting to see. I'm not too sure what they're gonna do with him, but yeah, I've never been high on James Wiseman. I think I said this when before they drafted him. I wanted LaMelo. Would that have worked out? Probably not. But we look at LaMelo now, rookie of the year, hasn't played much of the season. Obviously, a couple ankle injuries, but I've never been big on bigs in the draft. Evan Mobley, Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, and probably a lot more have obviously kind of shed that, but they all have something that they specialize in, and then they built on that. Karl Anthony Towns is obviously a fantastic shooter. Joel Embiid is great on both ends, but also has developed a jumper. Evan Mobley is a freak of nature, moves so quick, defensively great. Wiseman doesn't really have that. He hasn't shown a lot of flashes. He's an athletic freak, but if he can't get to the lane and power on these defenders, there's just not much use for him. And honestly, I wouldn't mind a trade. Uh, we need more depth. I think if the Jazz weren't playing out of their minds, Jared Vanderbilt would be a great pickup. Great defender, great rebounder. Jakob Poeltl, I would love him. Uh, Give me Kuzma. Don't care. I'll take him.
Whoa. Gotta unpause for that one.
I mean, I would take anyone. I just want. I mean, see that seems like I'm like freaking out, but I'm not. The Warriors are fine. I know they're fine. But yeah, James Wiseman is a little interesting, and I think if he can figure it out, that would be nice. But I still
No,
love Kevon Lee. He's solid. So
yeah,
we're good for now. But
yeah. And to be honest, what I do also want to bring up is I think he is in a good position because he's with a solid franchise, and
yeah,
he has to keep that in mind because the franchise can get rid of him quickly as they got him.
yeah,
And like what you said, like what I would do if I was him is I would study the ones that came before me because obviously they found success playing with Steph. And your role now is not to be a 30 and 20 guy. Your role is to feed off of the superstars that have been there and get yours when it's there.
yeah,
Right. And I'm not saying that he has to be a role player because, I mean, that COVID year, post year, however you want to call it, when he was healthy, like him and Steph were playing well together. Draymond and him were a lob threat.
yeah,
And I think he needs to just go back to that because at that point, the offense was focused on obviously Steph, and then he was a second option,
yeah,
right? And then D'Lo was there, but he wasn't really like the third or second. But yeah, in order to find success with this Warriors team, is they're not going to play inside out. They're not going
yeah,
to dive you the ball and let you go to work for most of the game. It's a solid, fluid motion offense. Everybody's cutting, everybody's moving, and like you set a screen and then you post them down low. You clog the lane, and you risk your guards not being able to run through. And that's when Steph, Clay, and Jordan Poole do the most damage. Even Dante,
yeah,
ever since he's on the team, cutting. So he just needs to study and take the time, work with the coaching staff who's worked with these guys. Maybe talk to Zaza. He's still there. Um, and just see what they did because as for the time that you guys have Clay, Steph, Draymond, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, the offense is not going to run through him. And I'm not saying that he thinks that way, but he just has to see that he can't be a main option like how he was in Memphis or that COVID year. He has to work alongside everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I have faith. Like I said, he's young. He can figure it out. So eventually, it's gonna be tough. But as a young kid, he got veterans around him. Jermichael Green, Draymond, Kevon. So um, I know like not a lot of people are bringing it up, but it is a cause for concern because he's kind of like the odd man out. A lot of people were
yeah,
excited for him to come back. And like you said, you did call it. Like you didn't want a Wiseman. When we did the podcast regarding the draft. So For your guys' sake, like I hope like it pans out. But like I said, a trade wouldn't hurt. If it's in your favor, and getting somebody Jakopoto, like that's just a younger, more athletic Bogut.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think Wiseman, he'll be fine. It's just I think it's concerning because he can't do he's unable to do the simple things, right? The simple things are supposed to make everything easier for him, kind of open up his game, but he kind of hasn't so far. I think he's just overthinking it, and hopefully his time in the G League, like Jordan Poole, will just help him gain some confidence and just go back to hooping. Stop trying to do all this other shit, right? Then we're gonna talk about the best young core. So I want to bring up the Pelicans because I think the Pelicans are like the easiest answer, right? Zion, Brandon Ingram, Dyson Daniels, Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy, Jackson Hayes. You can throw in CJ McCollum because he's still in his prime. They're going to be good for a long time. And, sorry to say, your Lakers are really going to fuck over the NBA if they get Victor Wembanyama at this point, right? So, yeah, I'm scared of the Pelicans. I'm not going to lie.
bro. I don't even know what to say to that. If they end up getting Wemby, oh my gosh, like Zion, Wemby, Bi, and CJ, like I think the NBA rigs it somehow so it doesn't happen. But at the
Yeah.
same time, they they are interested in that thought. But the Jazz, bro, like they're the number one. No, I'm just kidding. It's funny because obviously I do love the Pelicans because of my Duke guys, Zion and
Yeah.
Bi. So I would have to agree, but if they count this other pick that I have, if they count, I feel like they're also up there. The Cavs, are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Evan Mobley. Remember when we were doing the draft, we are like, man, like why did they pick up another big? That you got Kevin Love, you got Jared Allen. Like, why do you need another big? And man, did they make it work? You
Yeah.
know, Karis LeVert making the trade for Donovan Mitchell, DG trading away Colin Sexton was the obviously right choice between the two guards.
Yeah.
And I know they're in the East, but the conferences have been quite competitive. So,
Yeah.
my pick is obviously the Pelicans because they are scary and they can get even scarier, and they're only going to get better. But the Cavs, I feel like have a more win now type of environment because they have a better chance of competing in the East as opposed to the Pelicans in the West. But in terms of the topic itself, the better young core, the Pelicans are just there. Um, the fact that I just hope Zion can stay healthy because he's already been plagued by injuries. I know he's back tonight, but he just has to stay healthy because when he's healthy, he's an all-star, double guy.
Yeah.
And Bi, CJ, I can't even say that they're a supporting cast because those guys are all stars in their own right.
Exactly.
So they're going to be scary, and yes, they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a big Darius Garland fan. I love him. Got one of the smoothest shooting strokes in the NBA. Good on defense, great playmaker. I didn't think Donovan Mitchell was going to be like this. He's a 30 point per night guy now. It seems like Rudy Gobert was the issue. We can get to them later when we talk about disappointments, the Timberwolves. But I think a sneaky good team is the Pacers. That Tyrese Halliburton deal looks like it's going to be paying off because he is a do-it-all kind of guy. Ugly ass jumper, one of the ugliest in the NBA, but it's so nice. Like it's consistently good, which is weird.
It goes in.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then Benedict Mathurin, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but he
Yeah.
is so nasty.
Yeah.
Offensively, he's got the whole bag. Uh, Jalen Smith was a nice pickup last year at the deadline, I believe. They got him for nothing. Good on defense, decent shooter, like a mini Miles Turner, basically. And Miles Turner, for now, I think we say this every year. He might get dealt, might not get dealt. He's always in the trade talks, but he looks like he's playing a lot better this season. He's actually putting up 20 plus points per game, maybe. I haven't checked, but the other night he scored 31. Still can't rebound for shit, but blocks a ton of shots. I also like the Magic. Bol Bol carrying my fantasy team. And your guy Paolo,
Yeah.
disgusting. When he's actually playing, he's
Yeah.
disgusting.
And you know what? Like I was tempted to say Orlando, but the thing is they weren't winning games. They do
Yeah.
have a good young core, but they weren't winning games. And I know the topic was for a young core, but you don't want to talk about front court. We said the Cavs were big, but these guys, man, Bol, Paolo, Wendell Carter Jr., Franz, they're huge.
And the amount of skill in that front
Yeah,
court is ridiculous.
yeah,
Bobo is so skilled. So is Paolo. Paolo is like a mini guard out there, a big guard
yeah,
out there.
yeah. And we look at Wemby and we're like, man, we've never seen this before. But you got
You've seen it.
Bol,
It's
yeah,
just Wemby's a little more consistent with it.
yeah. And you can argue that he's a little bit more massive
Yeah,
compared to muscle tone wise compared
build
to Bol.
more.
But
Bobo's stringy.
yeah, and my guy Jalen Suggs is actually looking good out there.
Yeah.
I like him than Cole Anthony. I'm not saying that because Cole Anthony's from Carolina, but I really like Suggs. But yeah, like the Pacers, I like how you brought them up because Benedict Mathurin, like he had the confidence leading into the draft. Like he said that he's the best player, right? He wants to be the
Yeah.
best player, better than LeBron. He wants to play LeBron, whatever. But he's backing it up.
He
You
is.
know,
He is.
he's backing it up. And the Pacers, they have a good team that can compete. They remind me of a young Hawks team that had Jeff Teague.
Yeah.
That's what they remind me of,
Yeah.
honestly. Out in the East, but yeah, it's only a matter of time. Like you said, we say this every season. Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. I don't know if I want them. I mean, they would help. They're not going to lead us to a ship, but they would help. But more than that later. But yeah, like I like the Pacers, and the Kings look like they messed up for a little bit, but they won 7 straight.
Beam team, man. They look good.
Yeah, light the beams.
I know you kind of like them
Light
because
the
of Malik
beams.
Monk, though. Malik Monk's been nice for them. He's been a great pickup.
I love Lonnie Walker, but we should have kept Malik Monk, man. Should have
I
kept
saw
him.
I saw people trying to crown Lonnie Walker as the best Lakers signing in a while, but nah, Malik Monk was so good last year.
Super good. I really wish we were 1 year away from having both of them. And if it's
Yeah,
anything that Rob Pelinka does right, is that MLE, right?
yeah. He
MLE.
always knows how to use it, which is
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah. Only
Other
good thing
stuff,
done.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think I also want to touch on the Rockets. I would have considered them, but they look like a complete shit show.
They
I
don't
mean,
they don't have
they
a
are
direct.
all over the place.
Yeah. They don't have a sense of direction. And Jabari Smith, he hasn't looked good. And shout out Orlando for making the right pick, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But he just hasn't looked good. I don't know. I know some players have a more difficult time translating to the league, but obviously we can't really judge Chet because he got injured. But Jabari he hasn't looked good.
I was looking up the worst plus and minus,
Yeah,
and Jabari was first
it's a
in
shame.
the worst. He's a minus 160.
Wow.
Um, and Jalen Green is a minus 145. So yeah, the
Yeah.
Rockets look pretty bad. I think, like you said, they just don't have any direction. Kevin Porter Jr. is a great player. He's not a starting point guard in the NBA. Jalen Green, I think I'm kind of getting worried about him because as great as he is, he's going to develop too many bad habits on this team.
Definitely.
And I think Jabari Smith, he just he he's a big that like thinks he's a guard.
Mm-hmm.
He's soft on the inside, great shooter, but you can't rely on shooting as a big.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be okay. It's just I think they have to make a decision like the Cavs and go either with Jalen Green or Kevin Porter. Pretty easy choice, but you never
Yeah.
know these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like what the Rockets are doing. I think they're a terrible team. They have all these young guys and they can't
Mm-hmm.
really develop them. So
Yeah. They look like they're just vibing.
Yeah, they're like
Just go with the season, man.
get your own. Like they all like have that get your own kind of vibe, right? Like they'll
Yeah,
get their 20 points, but like they're gonna get a 40 point L. So I
yeah.
will say Alperen Şengün is so good. He's
He's the
skill
best
wise.
Rocket.
Yeah, he is. He's the
Yeah.
most consistent Rocket,
Hmm.
which is not good because that team is bad.
And they also need a free Eric Gordon. He deserves to be on a team that can compete in the postseason because he's been there for quite some time, and he's the last one from those Rocket playoff teams. I think he definitely deserves to go somewhere where he can at least compete for a chip.
There is no reason he should be on that team,
Facts.
but
That's very true.
I don't know. Anyways, let's get to biggest disappointments. I know you got a lot to say, so let's see what you have to say about the Lakers.
Man, so yeah, obviously my pick for biggest disappointment is the Lakers. Um, it took so long to have any direction with what we were supposed to do, but I am so disappointed because of the way that we started. I was when we hired I was so excited because I knew that he's a player's coach and he was able to get through to everybody. And I understand that it is his first season and it is tough to coach AD and LeBron, but if it was anybody that could do it, it was him. And so, some losses that the Lakers suffered during the start of the season shouldn't have been losses. Those are winnable games. And AD recently started hooping, putting up monster numbers. And hey, man, everybody knows this, but I just got to remind the listeners and the viewers. But I am a Kobe fan over anything, and so LeBron went down, and we started hooping. That tells
Not
you a
wrong.
lot.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot. And Westbrook went to the bench, and he started hooping. And I am ready to publicly apologize to Russell Westbrook because he's been doing so well. He still makes those boneheaded plays, obviously, but he's been hooping. And, that's why I don't want him to be traded per se, unless it's an absolute going to benefit the team. Because, like, he revitalized his career out in LA and this season because obviously that first season was rough. And I was part of that small group of people that really wanted to see him succeed. I was so disappointed and talked so much smack about him, but I wanted him, the hometown kid. I wanted him to find success. But yeah, the Lakers have been so disappointing, and it looks like they're wasting another year of AD and LeBron. Right now, before last night's loss, we were four and a half games out of the first seed, but like it doesn't really matter if we can't stack the wins up. The West is only going to get more competitive, and I know it's still a long season. We still have some time, but LeBron's dealing with the same injury he suffered in 2018. It's not good, and a part of me wants him out too because, bro, we're hooping. Like, what can I say? you know? And so only a couple things can fix the Lakers, and I really don't think it's a trade. I think it's just building off of what the Lakers have. If anything, signing some players. I mean, Dwight Howard is hooping out in Taiwan.
Hey, like 39 and 20 or something like that.
I'm always playing at 24-hour fitness out there, man. No disrespect to anybody out there, but
Yeah.
yeah, no. So Lakers have been disappointing from the jump, and now, as of now, recently they've been competing and playing much better. But um, they're obviously my pick, and then um, my my second pick for the surprise of the season is what we mentioned earlier, the Timberwolves. You know, garbage. you know, everybody thought it was going to be the second coming of Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon with two bigs. Not saying that they're going to play like them, just two bigs working well off each other. And nope, nobody's scared of the Timberwolves. Nobody's nobody. And I really am not surprised if they. I mean, if they trade D'Lo, I don't count it as blowing it up. But if they trade him and get somebody else to try and hope and improve what they got, I would not be surprised. But yeah, the Timberwolves, a lot of the lights are in LA, but T Wolves, who made a splash with the trade, they don't look good.
I will say they're on a 5 game winning streak, which I didn't know. Uh,
Yeah.
Either way, I don't care. They
Yeah.
they just don't look good. Anthony Edwards has been good, obviously. I think he's passed the. I'm sure this has updated by now, but it was like 4 passes to Rudy Gobert or pick and rolls out of 125 chances.
Yeah.
Um, he's tired of him, I guess. I'm
Yeah.
not shocked because no one really likes Rudy Gobert, right?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Nobody's like openly saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, I need me a Rudy Gobert jersey," right?
Yeah.
No one. Before I get to the Warriors, I want to talk about the Sixers. Obviously, they've been like ravaged by injuries. They've been
Yeah.
torn to shreds. I think Embiid just recently went down. James Harden
Mhm.
is still recovering.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey just got hurt too. So
Yeah.
this
And
is
he's
more
doing
of
well.
like, yeah, he's been looking real nice. It's more so because they're injured, they're losing, but it's
Mhm.
kind of a not last dance, but it's a getting pretty close to that time where it's like, okay, you gotta show something here. You put a couple
Yeah.
you know, injury prone superstars like James Harden and Joel Embiid together,
Yeah.
and this is what you get, you know. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. You gotta kind of ride with it. And the problem with James Harden going down so early, Joel Embiid has to do too much. Now he's gonna get injured, and then now you're gonna flip flop between the two of them. Very similar to the Clippers, except the Clippers have a lot of depth, so they can kind of stay afloat during those times. The
Yep.
Sixers don't have that same depth, and with Tyrese Maxey going down, that's a bad team. So
Another source of offense gone. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. PJ Tucker's not going to score you 40 points a game, so
Bro, he's gone 4 straight games without scoring anything. He's just out there wearing nice kicks.
he's out there vibing, bro.
Facts.
So yeah, the Sixers are probably my choice, and then the Warriors. I think they're 8-10 right now, and they should hopefully. Oh, never mind. It's only 11 point game now. Uh, if they win tonight, they're 9-10. Clay has kind of come around. I am not worried about the starters at all. I have
Mm,
never been in that crowd that says bench Clay because I don't give a fuck. Clay can go fucking 0 for 50. I'll still say I'll ride with Clay. Clay's done too much for this franchise to get benched after like 10, 15 games. The bench though, god awful. It is one of the worst benches I've seen in a long time.
mhm.
Uh, we've talked about James Wiseman. Don't need to keep kicking him while he's down. Kuminga's been okay. Defensively, he's pretty good. Offensively, I think he's just lost. He doesn't really know what to do because he can't get to the rim like how he could last season. Because I think Otto Porter, Gary Payton, all those guys kind of drew a lot of attention. So Kuminga was kind of left open a lot. Moses Moody is for some reason in the doghouse. Cannot figure out why. He's just not playing anymore.
Yeah.
He's a good 3-and-D guy. I thought he would kind of take over Otto Porter's spot. Hasn't played very well defensively, kind of fouls now. But still, he's one of our better players and he's not playing. Uh Jermichael Green has been very up and down. One game he'll have 10-10. Next game he won't score, miss 5 layups. Then the next game he'll have 10-10, but he's a minus 20. So don't know what's up with him. DiVincenzo, uh obviously injuries kind of had to deal with it. And now he's getting better. Defensively looks good. His shot has started to come around a little, but Anthony Lamb, I like him. Hustles, shoots the ball well. A little undersized, but good enough for me. Don't care.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome, haven't seen him much, haven't seen enough of him after uh DiVincenzo went down. He was okay. One of our better bench players during that time. And then Jordan Poole. I love Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's always been my guy. He's looked really bad this season. It looks like he's kind of like trying to find himself. I think he's struggling with his shot because he's forcing a lot. He's not really taking consistent like rhythm dribbles or like rhythm shots. So he's kind of relying on these very tough jumpers. And I know you know this as a hooper, like you just can't get any rhythm off of it. You're not gonna get any consistency. You can make a couple, but just because you make a couple doesn't mean anything. You really need those easy bunnies. just to get yourself going. And I think he just needs to slow down sometimes. But it's not looking good for Jordan Poole at the moment because you give him all this money and he's kind of unraveled at the beginning. I still believe in him. I think he's going to be fine. And as much as big as a disappointment as the Warriors have been this season, they'll be fine. I mean, the Warriors are still the Warriors, and after losing five straight on the road, they finally won a road game. So got that out of the way. But it's just the bench. I think what they're doing tonight, they're putting Draymond with the bench and kind of like trying to have him kind of facilitate while Steph is not there and have Poole kind of play with Steph on the bench and seems to be working. It's against the Clippers without Paul George and Kawhi again. So we'll see. But yeah, the Warriors have been a big disappointment. I feel bad for the Lakers. At the same time, like I want them to start winning at this point because I can't see the Pelicans get a top pick. I can't see it.
Yeah, and I do want to say, I want to touch on what you said about Moses Moody. For the game that I have seen about the Warriors or with the Warriors, he was arguably the best bench player. So I don't understand
Yeah,
why he hasn't been playing. And if I had to pick between two guys that play the bench role and the bench mob per se, it's JaMychal Green and him. JaMychal Green's always been a good stretch four,
yeah,
and I think he fits the offense very well because he can shoot the ball and he can also cut if needed. But yeah, it's just weird to me. And Dante DiVincenzo is supposed to be GP2 with the jumper,
yeah,
but obviously injuries have robbed him of really getting healthy enough to get that rhythm going. But like you said, they'll be fine. The Warriors are still the Warriors, and it's a new team. What are you gonna do? You still got to figure out. Like the starting lineup is still the starting lineup, and I think at this point with Jordan Poole, I think he's thinking too much. That game where he got called for a bunch of carries, I think that's what started it.
yeah,
In my opinion, because then he started being more cautious of how he does things. But he just gotta hoop.
yeah,
If he's getting called for that, like, okay, on to the next. Maybe you'll get away with it next time. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But yeah, he's got to hoop. And like, either the Warriors get more baddies on the sidelines or or he just gets a shot going, man. And
yeah,
um yeah, he just needs to hoop. Like at the end of the day, he got that contract for a reason.
yeah,
And Clay's not gonna go to the bench. So he gotta figure it out coming off the bench. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So I think eventually in the long run they'll be fine because these guys are all battle tested. A majority of their roster has been through the mud, and when it comes time for postseason, can never count them out.
yeah.
So you know,
Yeah, and before we go, I want to give a huge shout out to Andrew Wiggins. Dude's hooping again.
yep,
Second straight year gonna be an all-star. Calling it now.
I respect it. Yeah, I definitely see it. He's been consistent for them, being the 3-and-D guy that you guys have been wanting, and get that man some help. No, I'm just kidding.
Now get Curry some help at this point. MVP season again.
Man, looking tough.
Yeah. But that's gonna do it for us for episode 82. Appreciate you, CJ.
Of course, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah,
Appreciate
happy
you guys for
Thanksgiving.
tuning in.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But that's gonna do it for us. So we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.